Planet Punk is a video game about global climate change management. It is played from a view of the Earth from outer space and puts you in charge of its evolution over 3 distinct chapters. The player has to create a planet, stabilize its ecosystem, preserve the conditions of life for the human species. The climate at a global scale is a complex idea, the result of many natural phenomena that we can study thanks to the data provided by satellites. Ecology is a synthesis of meteorology, physics, biology, economics, and politics. It allows us to understand the causes and consequences of climate change. Ecology is also defined as the science of the relationship between organisms and their surrounding world, which means that the fight is not for the planet, but for the human, for the conservation of its conditions of life. The goal of this game is to show in a didactic way how complex the balance is. The game has the aspect of a planet with which the player interacts to make it evolve, and on which he can obtain a lot of information. The streamlined interface allows access to the clock of entropy, the table of reactions, and the tree of knowledge, and different filters to discover and explore the planet. It is necessary to transmit a real pleasure to see our Earth from outer space, and to give an aesthetic and scientific aspect to this representation. To win, the player has to unlock the latest technology on the tree of knowledge, climate control from outer space. The game will be divided into 3 chapters of increasing length. The elapsed time will be represented by a circular chronological clock showing the level of entropy, and therefore a temporal flow. When the clock arrives at midnight, we return to the previous chapter because of a climate disaster. Of course, the game only keeps 1 backup at a time. In the first chapter, we must form the planet from a gaseous mass resulting from the explosion of the sun. The player will have access to the table of reactions and can cause those that he wishes. It is a simplified periodic table with 5 elements: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and metals. The molecular modifications will be limited to the most important actors of the ecology: water, carbon dioxide, dioxygen, ozone, hydrocarbon, methane, dinitrogen, and nitrous oxides. The player will have several missions: to cool the core, to regulate the temperature, to create a gaseous cloud surrounding the Earth and allow the appearance of water and soil. In the second chapter, he will lead the birth of the human species on the biosphere. At this level, climate change begins to emerge, symbolized on the clock of entropy by the event horizon, midnight. We must evolve while maintaining equilibrium, and any major disruption will lead to the degradation of one of the different strata of the planet: the core, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the biosphere, and the atmosphere. For example, the cloud rate gun, the ozone depletion, deforestation, rising water levels, glaciation, and mass extinction can be triggered. The third and final chapter will begin when the environment is stable and an intelligent species appears, the human. This unlocks access to the noosphere, symbolized by a tree of knowledge with Kaya's equation in its center, revealing the consequences of each evolution. This method of approximating global anthropogenic CO2 emissions relates to the measurement of the average standard of livings in euros, the amount of energies in calories that must be used to produce €1 of goods, the amount of CO2 that you must emit to have 1 calorie. The player will develop his civilization by unlocking concepts such as craftsmanship, writing, agriculture, urbanization, industrialization, thermal energy, globalization, and finally of the climate from space. In case of a climatic disaster, the tree is reset and we return to chapter 2. Planet Punk is seen in the tradition of artistic performances, interactive digital art, and serious games. All the ecological concepts must be detailed in a rich but easily understandable and interactive wiki. The vision of the Earth from space aims to convey a sense of wonder at the biological beauty of our planet. Earth will survive climate change, unlike humans.